Right, so there's great concern about the N3 route to Durban. The N3 Toll Concession saying this evening that recovery operations are underway to clear Van Reenen's pass. Truckers, of course, blockaded the road throughout today. They're very unhappy with the employment of foreign truck drivers in the sector. They're alleging the system is corrupt. But let's get more details on the impact of the blockade on the N3 to Durban. I'm joined by Patrick O'Leary. He's editor of FleetWatch Truck magazine. Patrick, thanks for joining us. So the N3 Toll Concession has just sent out another message saying recovery operations underway to clear Van Reenen's, but the road at this point remains closed. Do you expect this blockade to continue through the weekend, or do you think that the truckers have made their point and the road probably will be open for travellers this weekend?
I do think it'll be open for travellers this weekend. I think they've made their point, and it's a big point that's been made. I mean, this has been going on and on and on for 4 years now, with no resolution in sight. But Sally, I don't think we need to worry about the weekend. I think it'll be over by then. The provincial traffic authorities and SAPS, by the way, have responded tremendously to this today. A number of arrests have been made, and of course a number of tow truckers have been brought in to, those trucks were parked right across the road. So the tow truckers have been brought in because the keys were stolen. And some of those truck drivers who parked them have been arrested. So it's going to take some time still. So I wouldn't set off now if private motorists are thinking of going anywhere. I would postpone it to tomorrow.
How many trucks were involved in the blockade? Do you know?
Cleared up now. Sorry, Sally?
I was saying, do you know how many trucks approximately were involved in this blockade?
It's hard to tell how many trucks actually blockaded the road, but there were quite a few. But there are hundreds of trucks in the backup queues, both on the south and the northbound. And that, of course, is, you know, they're caught up in the backup queues. They couldn't go anywhere. And that is going to take hours to clear. In terms of the number of trucks there, I saw a lot of trucks had actually parked across the road, which shows greater support, because in the past they've done it with 3 or 4 trucks. Now there's been 10, 11, 12 of them parked across the road.
So you mentioned that this has been like 4 years of this grievance over foreign truckers, and some of the truck drivers spoke to us anonymously, and they're just saying that the system is corrupt, that the Zimbabweans are being employed over them, and they think it's completely unfair. I'm just wondering if you know what's at the heart of this and why this matter is not being cleared up.
Wow, that's the million. Why is it not being cleared up? I think the ministers have failed, Jeff. The Minister of Transport has actually had his hands cut off on this one. He has tried, he met with the truckers when they blockaded in October. If you recall, they blockaded the N3 again at Montrose, and they blockaded the Middelburg and the Eastern Cape. So as a result of that, they had a meeting with a Minister of Labour, and they had a meeting with the truckers in Middelburg. And they came up, Minister Fikile came up in April 21, by the way, that goes back before October. He published an amendment to the road traffic regulations as a way of solving this, but it wasn't the actual way, and it requires more than that. It's a provision that a professional driving permit, now anyone driving a truck of that size has to have a professional driving permit over and above his driver's license, okay, and that has to be renewed every 2 years. But a professional driving permit issued by a foreign country will only be applicable to a vehicle registered in that country. So that wiped out any foreign truck drivers with a foreign professional driver permit driving South African trucks. Okay, and that was supposed to sort of fix the situation. It was, there's a lot more to that. But that had to be passed by the Transport Portfolio Committee in Parliament, and they rejected that.
Why?
They said, no, you've got to go back to the drawing board. They reckoned that it was against the constitutional rights, and I can actually read you what Mr. Kenny Molamang said from that. He said, we are informed by the inputs which have been made. There's nothing barring foreign nationals from driving trucks in our country, and we cannot discriminate against foreigners. We subscribe to the values enshrined in our constitution. All right, that's on that basis, that was the statement issued that rejected it. Now, nobody went back to the ATDF, and they had very peaceful, constructive negotiations, as opposed to the past, Sally. You remember where trucks have been burnt and all that. In Middelburg and Montrose, no truck was burned. And they had those negotiations. But no one from the Department of Transport or the Department of Home Affairs, which is also in this thing, in issuing the right documents for foreigners, no one went back to the ATDF. And this was told to them that it would be implemented, and to all of us, would be implemented at the end of November. Today is the 3rd of November, so they reacted pretty positively, pretty
3rd of December, yeah.
To the absolutely, to a promise that was made to them. Now, the government has to stop promising these people. It looks horrible on the surface, and maybe I'm going to make myself unpopular by saying this, but I don't mind. It looks horrible on the surface. It causes absolute havoc. It's a slowdown, a total stop of economic growth, the most important in South Africa. But no one's getting back to these guys. They're not all bad guys.
Yeah.
There's a high unemployment problem in South Africa. And they say employ locals before you employ foreigners. There's a peaceful way around this, but they're not getting the feedback they need. And that has been for 4 years. They feel they have been ignored. All the promises made to them, they have not been kept. And the Department of Home Affairs needs to jack itself up, get involved on a more, this ad hoc,
we also have, let's not forget,
it's ad hoc.
Yeah, we also have a scarce skills list that foreigners can only get work in scarce skills because there is such a demand for jobs. And you're saying that in many ways the truck drivers have been promised something and it's actually not been delivered to them. And I think it's a really sore point in a country like ours where jobs are, you get hundreds and hundreds of applications for any job that is advertised. Do you see any movement in resolving this issue now? How many foreigners are employed in the local trucking industry? Do you have a figure? Is it quite a substantial number?
No, someone came out, and I can't remember, Sally. I wish I'd anticipated that question because I could have got you the actual figure, which was absolute balderdash. They said something like 70% of the truck drivers are foreign. Nonsense. The guys employ local. The local companies don't want to employ foreigners because of all the problems that there have been around there. But there are some operators who are definitely breaking the law. They don't check the paperwork of these people. They employ these people at minimum salaries. They drive them till they're absolutely dead on their feet. And those operators know who they are. And there's others who just want to, what the drivers are saying is, stick to the law, Mr. Government, stick to the law, Mr. Operator. That's all, and the laws have been in place for ages. In any country you go to, you have to first make an application, as you do here. The employer has to apply to the Department of Home Affairs or the Department of Labour. Excuse me, I'm not sure which one. But anyway, you've got to apply and say, this skill is not available in South Africa. Now, how many people are doing that? Is the department geared up to actually evaluate that? And if it's not available, then you can employ a foreigner, so long as he's legally documented in South Africa.
Well, exactly.
There's so many illegal immigrants. You've covered it so often, the border posts and that stupid fence at Byte Bridge, and people just walk across. So many illegal immigrants here. Yeah. And somehow South Africa has got to look after its own. We've got a massive unemployment. And this is what they're saying. And then further than that, if that's granted and if that's good, and Sally, you can buy a driver's license in this place for 600 rand, a foreign driver's license. I'll get you a Zimbabwe driver's license tomorrow if you give me 1,000 rand. So there's a road safety issue here. Fields Hill, if everybody remembers, that was a Ford's license, a foreign driver, totally unchecked. And so after that, there's a number of steps to take. How professional are the drivers when you get them? It's a professional thing. It is a skilled job. I've heard a lot of people say it's an unskilled job. Nonsense. It's skilled, very skilled. And so even after this is solved, there's a long way to go in getting our local drivers up to base.
Confirming that it looks like the road is going to be cleared from probably early tomorrow, but do check if you're planning any trips on that road. But making a point that the local truckers have a valid grievance, that there are problems of corruption in the system, and also promises have been broken.